Good morning, Rabotai. Welcome back to Breakfast in the Class. Breakfast in the Class today, and the learning for this week is dedicated by the Torah Center founders, Soli and Pauline Asa, dedicated in honor of our esteemed and growing community at the Edmund J. Safra Synagogue. Amazing. Also dedicated for the Refuah Shlema of Eliyahu Shmo Mazar Fortuné, and for the continued health of Rabbani Chana Batzima Fega. The class is dedicated in loving memory Sion Zarnigian, beloved husband, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, and friend, sponsored by his loving family. May his neshama have an aliyah, and may his family be comforted among the mourners of Zion. Amen. Dedicate also the merit for a complete refuah shlema for Reuven ben David ben Chava, sponsored anonymously, and as well, congratulations are in order for the beautiful Brit Milah that we're having today in the Beit Knesset. We'd love to thank the families and wish them only the most beautiful day and most beautiful future for their new addition to their family for this fantastic gift of a baby boy. Please only answer Amen if you're listening to this live. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shakol niyam varo. Amen. Oh, okay. Let's begin, my friends. Okay, our pasuk tells us a very interesting line. The pasuk says, "Vayishma Yitro," and Yitro heard. He heard what? The Chachamim ask. It sounds like Yitro heard something that brought him toward the Jewish people. He came, he converted, he became part of the tribe. And the question the Chachamim ask is, "Eze shmuah shama'u ba?" What hearing did Yitro hear that made him come and join the Jewish people? Vayishma Yitro, and Yitro hears, and he came. What made him come? What was it? The Midrash gives two different opinions as to what it was that Yitro heard. One opinion is that he heard Kiryat Yamsuf. He heard about the splitting of the sea. With such a great miracle, Yitro could only be expected to act in such a way. However, the second opinion says in the Midrash that he heard about Milchemet Amalek. That's the last thing we've just read about, right? He heard about the war against Amalek. And we always talk a little bit about this idea, about what these ideas mean. What was it that made him come from the war against Amalek? In fact, if it would say that he came because of the victory over Amalek, fine. But it doesn't even say that. It says he came because of the war against Amalek. Why would that be something that would draw Yitro to come and convert to Judaism? Now, I want to share with you a very interesting question that I believe sheds light on this concept as well. Pasuk tells us, Mechila, the Pasuk tells us that when Yitro came to the encampment of the Jewish people in the desert, he says, Hine chotencha ba, behold Moshe Rabbeinu, your father-in-law is here, is arrived. I have two sons-in-law. They live in Israel. I don't know, maybe that's how they feel when I came to Israel, that I'm making an announcement. Your father-in-law is here. Stop your lives. Stop everything that's going on. Tend to me. Sounds like a funny thing, right? Why is Yitro making these grandiose announcements? In fact, the Midrash tells us that Yitro asked that Moshe should come out and greet him and bring him into the camp. Says the Midrash, who came out to Yitro? Moshe Rabbeinu, Aaron HaKohen. Once all the sages saw Moshe and Aaron were coming out, is everybody okay? You guys okay? Oh, it sounded like it was hot water. It was just beans. Okay. Right? The sound, the sight of Moshe and Aaron going out with all the zikenim, all the elders, who's not going to go? I mean, I don't know. I would do the same thing. You ever see that? When you see all the people on the street going like this, everyone's trying to figure out what's happening. By the way, I have started flash mob lookers just by doing this. I told me and my family we're all doing this. Oh my gosh! Oh, holy cow! Look over! Oh, everyone that's walking past, guaranteed, is already looking at nothing. Here, it wasn't like that. Moshe Rabbeinu, Aaron going out, unbelievable. My friends, there's two opinions when Yitro came. One opinion says that Yitro came to the Jewish people before the Torah was given. And indeed, if you look at the order of the Torah, we did not yet get to the giving of the Torah at this point. It happens later in the parasha. The other opinion says that Yitro came after Matan Torah. Why do we move it? Why is it before? Because en mukdam u'meuchar b'Torah. The Torah is not always written in chronological order. Whole topic in and of itself, not for now. However, according to the opinion that Yitro came after Matan Torah, not only did Moshe, not only did Aaron, not only did the Zekenim, not only did the Jewish people all go out to visit him, to greet him, to bring him and Moshe Rabbeinu's wife, Tzipporah, and Moshe Rabbeinu's children, to welcome them into the community. Not only, but actually it went one step further. Included in the entourage was the Sefer Torah, whatever was written at that point, and the Aron, and the Holy Ark from the Holy of Holies. Obviously, this only works according to the opinion that Yitro came after Matan Torah. However, my friends, could you imagine such a welcoming party? And the question is, what was Yitro thinking? Here I am, come out, show me Kavod. What was he saying? And I tell a beautiful story about a young boy who lived in Bnei Brak, in the very religious neighborhood of Bnei Brak. In Bnei Brak, there's only one thing that's important. Torah. Who's the rock stars in Bnei Brak? Not some singer, not some football player, right? Who's the rock star in Bnei Brak? The Gedolim. Rav Chaim Kanievsky, Rav Steinman, are some of the people whose jerseys have been retired in Bnei Brak. Those numbers are no longer allowed to be worn. Rav Shach. These were the greats of Bnei Brak. Now we have Rav Dov Landau. This is what it is. And there's always a passing of the crown from one gadol to the next. My rabbi used to say, there's no committee that chooses a gadol ador. You know, they don't have rabbis getting together. There's not a big event. Everyone votes. You can vote from your phone. No. You can't even vote from your kosher phone. Doesn't work like that. Who decides who's the next gadol ador? Somehow, over time, there's this consensus. This is the guy. It's wild. At the time, the greatest gadol was Rav Aaron Leib Steinman. And one morning, there's a knock at his door. And who's at the door? A young boy who's growing up in Bnei Brak together with his father. His father was someone that was very well known to Rav Aaron Leib. He was a Baal Teshuvah. Nobody in his family had ever been religious. He married his wife, Baalat Teshuvah. No one in her family had ever been religious. He became very close to the rabbi because he always asked him for advice. And he was very, very much enamored with and connected with the great rabbi, Rabbi Steinman. Well, that morning he comes to the rabbi and he's got a problem. He says, Rabbi, I don't know what to do. My son goes to the local school, the religious school, the cheder, and the boys, boys will be boys. They're, arguing with each other. They're making fun of each other. They're toying around the way boys do. And the boys are telling him, oh, who's going to sit on the stage at your bar mitzvah? Is your grandfather coming? Is someone going to give him a kippah? They're needling him. Everyone's going to be there with their black hats and their furry hats and their whatever kind of hats and their long black coats. And your grandpa's going to come with his no kippah and his white suit with the shorts. You ever see that, by the way? For the life of me, I cannot figure out how they convinced grown men to wear a suit jacket with a matching pair of shorts. That was for sure started as a prank. Or someone sent his suit to the dry cleaners. They shrunk his pants, and he didn't have another one. Stylish guy. Everyone thought he did it on purpose. I have many theories. They're making fun of him. What a busha it's going to be. Who's going to be Mizrach? Who's going to sit in the front at your bar mitzvah? Kid comes home, he's very upset. Father asks him, what's the matter? The kid doesn't want to talk about it. Father feels bad. Tell me, let me help you. The kid feels even worse. Shuts down more. Father pushes even more. Kid, he's so upset, goes to his room, lies down under the covers. Finally, the son tells his father that he's embarrassed of his grandparents, that they're not religious. All his friends are making fun of him. He's embarrassed of this, he's embarrassed of that. His bar mitzvah is ruined. He'd rather get married in his basement. He'd rather have his bar mitzvah in his basement. Father takes the boy the next morning to the rabbi, and he's hoping in his heart, because the rabbi and him are close, the rabbi will tell him, don't worry, I'm going to sit in the front. That's like the ultimate mic drop. Well, the boys, oh my God, you have the great rabbis here. All of a sudden that shuts down all the jokes. But the rabbi didn't say that. The rabbi did not offer to come to the bar mitzvah. I read this and I had tears in my eyes. Because now you understand the difference between me and you and the Gadol Ador. He looks at the boy and he says, listen to me. Father's ready. I'm coming. We're going to show them. Maybe that's what I would do as a rabbi who's a speck of dust on the bottom of Rav Steinman's shoes. He looks him up and down and he says, Rohi. He probably didn't say Rochi. He probably said Yingel or something like that. Ziskait, mein teure Kind, or other words in Yiddish none of you know. Some know. You have one or two. He says, my son, the less kavod, the better. You see, what the rabbi understood was that me and you, what are we doing? We're trying to placate the kid, trying to make him feel better in a flawed system. But the rabbi is understanding that Torah, hefech dat ba'al habayit, the rabbi is understanding exactly the opposite. Here's an opportunity to teach a young boy at a seminal moment, a shifting moment in his life, that one of the great values of this life is to avoid honor. You're so worried you won't have the kavod of who's going to be at the front wall. The less kavod, the better. This young man, by the way, he came from a very well-to-do family. He said later on in his life, I got a lot of presents for my bar mitzvah. And I got even more presents for my wedding. But the greatest present I ever received in my life was the present of that advice from Rav Steinman. The less kavod, the better. If that's the case, so what's Yitro doing? It says that he took an arrow, he shot it into the Ananei Kavod with a message. I'm Yitro, I'm here, your wife, your kids. Come greet us and bring the welcoming party. What's Yitro doing? So you could think he's running after Kavod. Right? Like Rafi said. I have a problem with that theory. You know what my problem is? The Chazal tell us that Yitro was the number one imam, sheikh, priest, parish leader, bishop, cardinal, pope, you name it. You should just know, by the way, when I was living in England, so I was flying a lot with BA, with British Airways. So when I signed up with British Airways at the time, so it asks you to fill in the form. So it has, Shlomo Farhi, and what's your title? So I'm scrolling down for rabbi. Scrolling. 900 titles, no rabbi. I said, no problem. So instead I chose His Holiness. So I got a card in the mail It says, His Holiness Shlomo Farhi. Now, what I did not know is that His Holiness is the title that's reserved for the Pope. So when I would give my card in at the desk to check in, a lot of times the non-Jewish, the Christian people checking me in would look at my card and they would look at me. Father. And they would look at my card and they would look at me. And then they would see my wife and children behind me. And they would look back at the card. But the best was when the systems, the electronic systems that don't really know any better, started addressing email to me, messages to me, mail to me that would come in the post. I would get offers to His Holiness, the Pope, Shlomo Farhi. Yitro was not a sketch the Pope. He was the Pope. He was the highest authority of all Avodah Zarah. But you know what he would do? One after the next, he would see a religion, he would rise to be its most prominent member, and then he would see it for the falsehood that it was. And then he would shift to try and find emet. If Yitro was looking for honor, honor he had. You don't go to become part of the Jewish people where you have to learn Aleph Bet again, where you're in kindergarten with little children, if you're looking for honor. So what was Yitro? Why was he asking for this entourage to be sent to him? My friends, this is very important, what I'm about to share with you. The answer is very simple. Eze shmuah shama'u ba. What did Yitro hear that made him come? What do we say in Rashi? Kiryat Yamsuf and Milchemet Amalek. The splitting of the sea and all of its miracles. And Milchemet Amalek, the war against Amalek. My friends, I need you to listen carefully. Our rabbis tell us that what Yitro recognized was that Amalek had done what they did after the greatest miracles in the world. Kiryat Yamsuf, we say, was spoken about in the entire world. In fact, the miracle, not only did God split the water of the ocean, He split all the waters in all the world. So if someone is sitting in Brazil, split the water. Someone's sitting in Argentina, split the water. Someone is sitting with Fiji water in Fiji, split the water. The whole world knew about it. You would imagine that the aftermath of that was all of the world accepting God. And in fact, that might have happened. But Amalek, who stands for the opposite of that, couldn't bear it. So what did they do? Says the Midrash. They were like the person who jumped into the boiling hot bath that no one was willing to jump into. And with their own burning, by jumping into the bath, they cooled the water down. No one would start with the Jews. So Amalek says, you know something? I'll jump in the water. I'm going to burn my whole body. But my body will cool the waters down so anyone else could jump in after me. The Jewish people and God's presence, knowledge of Hashem, belief in God was here. And then came Amalek and cooled the bath down. Says Yitro, we need to boil the water again. We need to pump Judaism up again. Let the whole world find out about Moshe, Aharon, the Aharon Kodesh, the Sefer Torah, all the Jewish people. And why are they going out? Because Yitro, who served every other god, who was the master of every other religion, he's coming to the Jews. And you know why he's coming? To convert to Judaism. My friends, sometimes kavod, ego, can be, pride can be poison. But sometimes ego and pride and kavod can actually be used to great effect. Yitro's desire for kavod was not for himself. It was for HaKadosh Baruch Hu's honor. It was for the Jewish people's honor. It was for the honor of Torah and mitzvot. I'm just going to turn this camera around for 1 second. Just take a look over here, my friends, at the wall of the Beit Knesset. Up here we have the founders and the pillars of the Beit Knesset. We have pillars and benefactors of the Beit Knesset. If you'd like to let your name be on that list, let us know. Aye. Up here, my friends, we have the Torah Center with all the people who sponsor Torah. My friends, quite a few people have told me that they don't want their name on the wall. You know why? Because they don't like kavod. And they'd rather that it be anonymous. My friends, there's a beautiful Tshuvot HaRashba where the Rashba writes that when it comes to tzedakah, a person should not hide behind and ask not to have their name publicized. So long as publicizing the name will cause more people to give tzedakah, you should put your name on the wall. Tshuvot HaRashba, others as well, Rishonim. Let people know. Someone said to me, Rabbi, do you think I should put my name on the wall? I'm a young person. I don't need my name on the wall. I said, what greater impetus is there for someone who's older than you, who's making more money than you, to want to support Torah than by seeing that someone half his age bought a plaque? Someone said to me, I don't want my name on the wall, usually. But for this, I want my name on the wall. I said, why? He said, because my kids come to the shul. And let my children, every time they walk into the shul, see that their father and their family are supporters of Torah. So when he's deciding to come to classes or not to come to classes, when he's deciding to take a year in yeshiva in Israel or 2 before he goes to college, he'll decide, what do you mean? My family is lifelong supporters of Torah. How could I not do this? All these classes the shul is doing, my family's helping to pay for them. I'm not going to go to them. He said, even though I usually ask you for anonymous, for this, put my letters in as big as you can. My friends, Yitro's desire over here was to reinstate the kavod for the Torah. And that's what the pasuk means when it says, Hakol tinuoz. Everyone give grandeur. Give grandeur to God. Utenu kabod la Torah. Give honor to Torah. Someone said to me, Rabbi, I don't know, I'm donating a Torah. I don't know, I'm a little bit nervous. They showed me the case that they want to use. It's beautiful. It's big silver. It's a little bit too much. I said, it's too much for you, or it's too much for the Torah? If you're in the case, you're right. But the Torah is in the case. If you can find a gold case, get a gold case. You want to find one made out of precious stones? It's not enough kavod for the Torah. Yitro understood that sometimes the paradigm is flipped on its head. I cannot share with you enough that this is why it is important to show honor to Rabbanim. Not for the rabbi's honor. The rabbi might not like it. The rabbi might actually hate it. The rabbi might be embarrassed. But it's not about the rabbi. Not about the person. It's about what he represents. In a time where the greatness of God and His miracles had just plummeted with what Amalek had done, Yitro understood that we needed to double down on the honor of Torah. My friends, we live in a time which is exactly like this, where we need to look for ways to honor the Torah. Literally the scroll. Figuratively, the rabbis and people that stand for Torah. Figuratively, the Beit Knesset. Expanding the Beit Knesset. Paying to fix the library, to put books in the library. All of these things. The raising of the Kavod of the Torah raises the Torah. The raising of the Kavod of the Torah raises the mitzvot. The donations out loud in the Beit Knesset. The other week, I went to an Ashkenaz minyan. And at this minyan, the guy said, I came to Safra synagogue, and they did the craziest thing. I went up for aliyah, and the rabbi said, Shemit Nadef, how much would you like to donate? I couldn't believe it. Asking me at the Torah out loud. He never heard of that before, so he thought I did it only for him. I told him, honey, we do this for everybody. He thought he was a rich guy, he was a wealthy guy. For me, The guy knew who I was, so he's asking me how much I want to donate. I told him, we do it for bar mitzvah boys. And our aim is not to get them to give a lot. If the guy gives $5, that's the point. That we create a culture where, from a young age, we do the Misha Berach for a child. So he should feel, I should support, I should respect Torah. I should respect the Beit Knesset. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you have the faith in me. I'm not going to do it again. Hashem should bless us to understand this lesson of Yitro. That normally we say, Kama sheyoter pachot kavod. As little kavod as possible. That's the best. But when you're the father, and you tell your children because you think you're cool, call me Stephen, call me David. You're not doing your children any favors. That kavod for you is not about you. It's about the fact that you are a father and that you represent generations of tradition. Your grandfather and your great-grandfather never gave you permission to demean or undervalue the position of being a father or a patriarch, an influencer of future generations. Sometimes kavod can be very holy. Hashem should bless us to do our very best, to lift up, to raise, to give kavod to Talmidei Chachamim, to rabbis. And Hashem should bless the rabbis. Sometimes it's so uncomfortable. Hashem should bless the rabbis to get over themselves. I'll end with this. I was in my father's synagogue, and when I come to shul that's not mine, my favorite seat to sit in is the furthest seat in the back. So I came into the shul, I sat in the back. Along comes a Halabi guy, allergic to this. He says, Kavod, wants me to sit on the stage. I said, he's like, Kavod. I'm like, Kavod! Aib! Baruch Hashem was before Baruch She'amar. So we were still able to talk on Shabbat morning. He's now making such a scene that all the people around me are like, Rabbi. Finally, I said, could you leave me alone? I said, every rabbi has to develop something to make him remember that the kavod he receives is not actually about him. And he should remember that the kavod is not something he should let get to his head. Every rabbi has different tools. My tool is that when I go to another shul, I don't sit in the front, I sit in the back. To remember that in my shul, I have a job and I have a position, so I have to sit over there. But do I deserve it when I'm anywhere else? No, I should sit in the back. This is my thing. Don't take my thing. I'll give you 3 guesses if the guy allowed me to do my thing.
No.
But my friends, that push and pull is exactly the way it's supposed to be. He's not supposed to let me not have the kavod of a rabbi. I'm supposed to fight against the kavod of the rabbi. And at some point, one of us should win. But when you have that, that is the healthy balance. May Hashem bless us always to know when and where to exercise the both powerful gift / poison of kavod in its right place. Baruch Hanai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen. Rabbi Chananya ben Akasha Omer, Tzad Gdosh Baruch Hu Fikach Yibalem Tol Tzor Shlamar, Nachafetz Aman Seko, Yagdir Torah ve'adir. I can tell you one thing, my foot's not going to fall asleep today. Kavod.